Hello friends, today we are going to learn file handling. So before going on to file handling, let's try to look at what is a file actually. So when we talk about in a computer system, a file is nothing but a container which stores some information. So consider a simple example that you have a physical file. In that what you do is you store many documents. You can open that file anytime, you store your documents, you can read it anytime. Similarly, in a file in a computer system is nothing but a document or maybe an image where you store some information. So how many types are files of files are there actually? So there are two types of files when we talk about. So one is text files and the second one is nothing but binary files. So what differentiates between them? So text files are nothing but they are characterized by sequence of lines which contains sequence of characters. So each sequence of lines is separated by an end of line character. Now what do I mean by end of line? So let's say you have one line, you may press enter and then write a next line on a file. So here your new line is nothing but a end of line character. Similarly, you can have a comma as an end of line character. So suppose you have a CSV file, there you have comma separated values. So text files are nothing but, let's say, example are nothing but a .txt file where you have just large amount of or many small sequence of characters or information stored in it, or maybe your CSV file, as I mentioned, you have comma separated values. So these comes under the category of text files, so which can be read easily and which just has sequence of characters and nothing else. Now coming on to binary files are nothing but they don't contain just characters, they have some extra information. Let's say images, graphs, tables. So what comes under binary files? Your image files, that is your JPG files, PNG files, these all are images. So these are not normal characters. So it is your, let's say your image is made up of many pixels, so you cannot characterize it just as a simple character. So then your doc file, because again in a Word document you can have multimedia. Let's say you can have some posters or images again inside a Word document, so that again also comes under binary files. Then a PDF document, again a PDF is characterized by such graphs, multimedia objects. So these all comes under the category of binary files. So that's what differentiate between text files and binary files. So now let's look at what are the operations you can do with a file. So again coming back to your example I mentioned, you have a physical file. So what you do with that? You open that file. So that there we come across that in similar in to a computer system, we can open a file when we have a file in a computer system. What else you do? When you open a file, you can read something from the file. Let's say if you have some documents, you can read from the file. So there, similar in Python or similar in computer system, you can read a file. Then comes what you can do now. You can also write something to the existing document. So again in the computer system, you can write to a file. So there comes that writing to a file. And then what you do? You close a file. So similarly, we come across the closing a file. So we open the file, we can read or we can write, and then we close the file. So similar operations we are going to see how we can implement in Python. So let's look at what are the functions that will enable us to implement these things in Python. Okay, so open is a built-in function provided in Python for opening a file. So what parameters does it take? So the first parameter is nothing but the file name. So whatever is the name of a file, I will describe it in much detail. And the second is mode. So I will explain what are those two parameters. So let's come back to the first parameter, that is file name. So when we talk about file name, we have to specify a path of the file also. So again there are two types of paths. The first is relative path and the second is absolute path. So let's look at what are those two. The first one is relative path. So what do I mean by relative path is that begins from your current working directory. Now what does that mean? Suppose you are in let's say desktop. Let's say if you are working on a Windows operating system and your path is nothing, let's say C users desktop, and you have a file on your desktop. So when you are working on that directory or no desktop directory, that is your current working directory. So that, and when you try to give path from that directory, that comes under relative path. So let's look at some examples. What can be the relative path? So let's say open file name. So let's say you have a file demo, let's say. So you can just say open and the name of the file, that is demo, because it is on your same path where you are already there, where you are already working. Then you can specify extension. If the file name has some extension, you can specify open filename.txt. Another way to specify a relative path is using dot slash. So dot slash means that you are in from current working directory where you want to navigate. Similarly, if you have a folder in your current working directory, let's say you have a folder in your desktop and you want to open a file from that folder, so you can again say dot slash, let's say dir is the name of the folder you have on your desktop, let's say. So you can just say dot slash dir slash your file name dot csv if you have a csv file in that directory. So dot slash will give you the current directory, and there from there you can navigate on to any file or directory again. So this was relative path. Now what is absolute path? Absolute path is means when you give the complete path from the root folder. The root folder is nothing but the base folder. Let's say in the Windows operating system, if your path starts from C users Windows, so the C folder the C drive is nothing but your root folder. So that is what is absolute path. So let's look at some examples. So let's say if I say open C users desktop and the file name, so this is the complete path I am specifying. Now again, while specifying the path, you can either use a forward slash or a backward slash. Now what's the difference between that two, I will explain. So if you use just a forward slash, you don't need anything. Now if you want to specify a backward slash, so there are two options. Now why that the difference comes in picture? So you know that slash, let's say if I write backslash n, so that will be interpreted as a new line. Or if I write that's backslash t, so that will be interpreted as a tab space. So that's why we need to escape those characters. So let's say if in your path, let's say if you have C users, now when I say slash d, or let's say if your file name is nothing but new, so if I say slash new dot txt, so that slash new, that slash n will be not interpreted as a file name, that will be interpreted as a character. So slash n will actually give you a new line, so that will give you an error. So there are two ways to resolve that. Either you can use a raw string. So open, when you specify a character r at the beginning of a string, that means that it is a raw string, so you do not need to interpret the special character, that is slash n slash t, so you do not need to evaluate its meaning. So one way is this. The another workaround is you can use a double slash. So why is double slash used? The first slash itself means that you want to escape the next character. So let's say when I have double slash new, so slash n, it will escape that slash n because it will escape the next slash. When you use the first slash, will try to escape the next slash. So that is, you can use double slash here. Or if you are working in a Linux operating system, you can give an absolute path as slash home slash username slash file name. So these are the two different paths, and I have explained how you can give the file names. Now let's come on to the second parameter of open, that is the mode.